Hello, and thanks for joining us for the Farming Today podcast. I'm Kaz Graham, and in this edition, as temperatures soar, we're talking sheep shearing and how the race is on to train up more UK shearers. And tackling wildfires. The government is investing £100 million on specialist firefighters with updated skills.
The wildfires that we're seeing and the intensity that we're seeing, we're now starting to have to adopt the tactics and the techniques that those Mediterranean countries have been using for a few years.
More on that a little later. First, though, all this week we are looking at agri-tourism, how farmers are boosting their incomes with everything from farm safaris and events for foodies to the traditional campsite. Declan Scullion inherited his father's hill farm in Glenravel in the Glens of Antrim in Northern Ireland a few years ago. And Declan and his wife Sabrina decided that welcoming visitors on farm was the way forward for them. They've renamed it Willow and Law, and Kathleen Carragher caught up with Declan on a busy weekend while they were hosting a heritage festival.
Declan, at the event today, you've got a furnace festival going on, which must be one of the most unusual things to have on a farm. Why?
Our farm's situated right in the centre, 3 mile radius here, of what was once the largest iron ore mining operation in most of the island of Ireland, really. In 1880, 120,000 tonnes a year were being shipped just from this small area. And in fact, our small holding, our farm with the cottage on it, would have been typical of a farm supporting that. How's this furnace coming on? Are we getting it?
It's going very well at the moment.
Yeah, we've just put a bit more wood onto it there.
The guys from all over the country, it's a community that comes together, and they build these mud furnaces from the mud and clay from under our feet. They take ore from the local mines and mixed with locally fired charcoal, they're turning the iron ore into iron. So at the end of the weekend we will have some nice blooms, as they're called, of nice big lumps of iron from our own local iron ore.
How many sheep do you have?
We have 2 dozen, so we have 24. Or we aim to have 24. I think we're a couple less at the minute. We need to restock then for tipping again this year. We're looking at different seed mixes.
You run regular tours around the farm, so tell me a bit how you started in Willow and Law.
The farm has always been a sheep farm. That's kind of the main farming income. But we've started growing flax, we're growing willow, and those are 2 crops then that we're starting to try and build an enterprise around. So the willow was for basket weaving, but also for fodder for lambs, and the flax then into the craft industry and that side of things. So there's a bit of a rebuilding of that.
Or would you compare the grass to the willow?
I would prefer the willow, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a really important question.
So this is our flax field here. So we have just shy of half an acre grown. And yeah, look, it was a local heritage crop, which was the real reason we kind of grew it. I suppose when we were trying to build the brand from the tourism thing, we thought that's an interesting thing to be growing, we'll throw in a bit. And then we started sort of following up more onto it. And I'm an engineering background. I'm involved in an engineering project to design a automated spinning machine at a cottage industry scale. So, yeah, we'll work our way on over and get a chat about the willow.
You're doing a lot of experimentation here. Could you do all of that without agri-tourism?
No. For a small farm, the industry's just not set up for us to be profitable and sustainable, and most of the farmers in the country are small farms that are working 9 to 5 and the farming in the evening to make it work. So the agritourism for us is there needs to be an income, a significant income from something else that isn't produce off the farm. So it allows us to feature the combined regenerative and heritage nature of what we're doing. It allows us to kind of feature the crops, the heritage crops and the breeds, and kind of make more of every element of the farm without having to go off and do something that's completely remotely different.
How well advanced is agritourism in Northern Ireland? Do you think you get enough support?
It's not as well developed, and I think for businesses here that do have agritourism, the struggle is with that meshing between a tourism business that happens to be on a farm versus a tourism business that's complementing the farm. We are involved in farmer networks with a lot of young farmers that are trying to progress their farms forward, and that is the topic that keeps coming up, is we just don't have that space, that financial freedom, that space of time to actually try new things and make new things happen.
That's Declan Scullion with Kathleen Carragher. Now, it is sheep shearing season, and I can tell you, if I was a sheep, I would be extremely keen to get rid of a heavy winter fleece in this sweltering weather that we're having. Shearing is an international industry, and each summer, between 50 and 75 professional shearers from overseas take out temporary visas to work with the UK flock. But the government says that this is the last year they will allow that to happen, and that the sheep industry needs to train up more homegrown shearers. To cope with the demand, British Wool is laying on extra courses around the country. Bob Hockenhull joined one of them in Shropshire.
In a shed on the Harper Adams University campus, 8 students are being schooled in how to handle sheep in preparation for shearing. Matt Bolton from the university is facilitating the course.
I went on a shearing course myself, late 90s, and I've sheared sheep ever since, and I would say I'm mediocre at best. So it's a really difficult skill to learn. It does take a lot of time. It's quite physical, but I think the better you get at it, the less physical it becomes and the easier it becomes.
So from what you're saying, because this is a 2-day course, they're going to still be learning beyond this course then?
Yes, today and tomorrow is about giving them the basic outline of the skills, and it's just a case of getting out there and shearing sheep and perfecting your skills.
What is it that makes it so difficult? Because some people might just think, oh, it's just a case of giving them a haircut.
I think it can be quite physically demanding, and depending on the type of sheep you're shearing, can be 60 to 80 kilos, most sheep, female sheep. There's a definite technique and a method to doing it, and it's quite easy to sort of lose your way, and once you start losing your way, it then becomes like a snowball effect. It can just get harder and harder.
Gareth Evans, a sheep farmer from Denbighshire, has come over to Shropshire to teach the course on behalf of British Wool.
This course, they're very inexperienced, so they haven't handled much of the sheep. So what we're doing is letting them handle the sheep without the handpiece. So they, do the belly and just an imaginary one, really. So they get the footwork. The most important thing with the shearing, I think, is your feet and your left hand, if you're a right-handed shearer. And then the left hand pulls the skin to make sure the comb goes on the skin and not under it. Yeah, and they seem to get a good knack at it at the moment. So we'll start the shears in a minute, and then they can see what it's all about. They're really keen. Yeah, the ewes are very big, so they're going to be sweating this morning.
Women outnumber men on today's course. One of the participants is Isla Henderson from Stirling. So, Isla, you just started the course this morning. How are you finding it?
It's really good so far. I've just done one sheep and I'm already sweating.
So have you had a go before this course?
I did a course last year and my dad shears as well. So last year I was just getting the hang of it, and this is hopefully just to better my skills.
So what have you been learning so far then?
Mostly how to get a hold of the sheep and keep it there and make sure that she's not going to go anywhere.
Why did you want to do the course?
I'm on a farm at home, and as much as most folk don't like sheep, I just love them.
So Henry Timmis, you've come here today to learn about sheep shearing. What made you decide to go on the course?
Because at home we've got 40 sheep, and it costs a lot to find someone to come and shear a small amount of sheep. So I thought I'd take the skill on myself and being able to shear my own sheep.
Some people say there's quite a lot to it and it's not as easy as it looks.
It's not knowing where to put all your feet and with the right angle and everything. And yeah, it's good to learn.
So do you think you'll use your skills at home and in other places too, or is it specifically just to be on the farm?
It'll probably be mainly on farm, but if I enjoy it, and I might go on to do other people's and make a bit of a career out of it.
And some of those on the shearing course say they may take their newfound skills abroad to countries like New Zealand if the opportunities come along.
That report from Bob Hockenhull. The Met Office has issued a rare red extreme heat warning for parts of southern England, the Midlands and southern Wales for tomorrow and Thursday, with amber warnings already in place more widely in England and Wales. Some fire services are warning of an increased risk of wildfires as temperatures are set to reach the high 30s. Well, it comes just as the government's announced a £100 million investment to help tackle wildfires, to offer better protection for the countryside and to rural communities after some truly truly devastating fires last year. 2025 broke the record for the number of wildfires reported in the UK, killing wildlife and leaving habitats and farmland scorched. Well, we'll be talking about what that money is going to be used for in just a moment. But first, let's hear from Moira and Alec Gray. They farm sheep east of Inverness, and in late June last year, 95% of the 6,000 acres that they farm was burned during what's thought to be Scotland's largest wildfire in living memory.
In the morning I looked out the window, I thought it was mist that was in the fields, but it wasn't, it was smoke. So I got out and came up the road here and, well, the hill was gone. Flames at both sides, coming down both sides. In the centre it was just full of smoke, and a lot of keepers and fire brigade were trying to burn back from the road, cutting down trees and that to try and stop it. I just went right to the top of them, kept going.
The flames was going so fast at some points, the vehicles and truck vehicles couldn't go as fast as the fire was moving forward. So it was just a bit impossible for anybody to control.
Moira and Alec Gray speaking to On Your Farm last summer. Let's just hope things are greening up there again. The Westminster government has announced that there will be new wildfire specialist teams hosted by fire services in 4 locations in England and in South Wales. Dave Swallow is the National Fire Chiefs Council's Wildfire Tactical Advisor. And I asked him first to tell me how these teams would make a difference.
The specialist teams have undergone additional training and skills acquisition and the investment in assets, so vehicles and equipment, which will allow us in the UK to start adopting different and more advanced tactics in fighting wildfires.
And they're going to be based in 4 locations in England. They're Lancashire, Greater Manchester, Northumberland and London. Also South Wales as well. I mean, how will that help if there's, say, a major fire in Yorkshire or Dartmoor?
Well, that's partly the reason for them being spread across the country. They're not going to be on an immediate response like local fire crews are. They're there for support, as other national resilience assets are. So we have similar assets around urban search and rescue, high volume pumping. These as a wildfire national asset will mobilise in the same sort of way. So they'll be expected to be there within a couple of hours where they're requested and then get to work almost immediately when they arrive.
And tell me a bit about the kinds of new ideas and strategies that these particular specialist firefighters have been learning about. Because, I mean, they've been getting getting experience overseas, haven't they?
Yeah, that's right. We've got a lot of links with international colleagues in countries, across Europe, the States, Australia, and others. And we've always been trying to pick up and take learning from them. And this is that next step, that they've experienced the fires that we're now starting to see in the UK, especially when we see the weather conditions that we're having in the next few days. And, that we saw the long dry period last year and the excessive heat and very dry few days we saw in July and August in 2022. They're changing they're changing the ferocity, probably is a better word, of the wildfires that we're seeing and the intensity that we're seeing to be more akin to those that are seen in southern Mediterranean countries. So we're now starting to have to adopt the tactics and the techniques that those Mediterranean countries have been using for a few years.
I mean, I know that you've been involved hands-on trying to put wildfires out. What is that like?
Well, we're looking for opportunities to stop the fire and contain it, really. And sometimes that is a decision about having to lose or leave a piece of land to burn until we get to a fire break, because actually it's more manageable to create fire breaks. And these specialist teams will be able to do that by cutting ground or even using a tool called a drip torch, which actually puts fire on the ground to create the fire breaks that we see. As these fires become more ferocious and intense, it's about removing fuel ahead of the fires rather than putting firefighters in harm's way right up against the flames and in the smoke.
That's Dave Swallow from the National Fire Chiefs Council. Do join Anna Hill tomorrow morning. She will be at the Global Agri-Tourism Conference in Aberdeen. But that's all from us for today. I'm Kaz Graham. The producer is Sarah Swadling, and Farming Today is a BBC Audio Bristol production.